Okay, kind of jumped ahead, but sorry. These next four questions, 3 and 5, are the test like. So let's talk about number 2 real quick. I went ahead and graph. So if you want to pause and then come back and check, you can. But we look at number 2. Our answer choices in our graph. There's obviously a typo here, and we're gonna go ahead and omit this because I can look at this and I can even check my slopes. Like I think this slope is up through 1, 2, 3. So this is like 3/15. And then this one is that was at a -9 up to 7. So this is 16/1/2, sorry. Yeah, over 2, sorry. There we go. And then this one over here is so 3/15. And this here is, let's see, we got -12, 16 over, this is 12, 13, 14. I think this is 16/2 as well. So the least it could be is a parallelogram with opposite sides parallel, which is not a rhombus because they're not congruent. It's not a kite. It's not a square because they're not perpendicular. None of these answer choices work, okay? So I just kind of wanted to talk about that real quick. On 3, when you graph, I think you can physically see it looks like a rectangle, so you might want to start off with B, but make sure you check your slopes. So when you go to the slope from K to J, that's when we're going up 1, 2, 3, and then over 3/6. And then we compare it to the slope, consecutive sides, that's what we want to check on, JI. JI is down 1, 2, and then down 1, 2, and then to the right 1. I know 3/6 reduces to 1/2, and then when I compare these are opposite reciprocals. So the perpendicular, so that's why we have that right angle. And opposite sides are parallel. So yeah, best name here would be a rectangle. Okay. Now, once you try that, use some graph paper. And then I have 5 up here because that's the test like. And what I wanted to talk about is that says which of these terms, that S is important, applies to the parallelogram. So when I do the slope, I did the slope from P to Q. So that's down 2 to the right 6. Then I did the slope to Q to R. That was down 6 to the left 2, so that ends up being a positive. And then the slope S to R, I forgot to write that. That's up 2 to the left 6. And then our slope 2P to S, or S to P, and that's up 6 to the right 2. So right there, you have right here, opposite slopes parallel, those two right there. So we have arrow, arrow, 2 arrows. Arrows show parallel, so if you ever saw arrows on something, you know it's parallel. And so then I need to look at my slopes, and my slopes are also opposite reciprocals, because if I look at -2, 6, if I flip it, the 6 comes on top, the 2 goes on the bottom. And it was negative, I change the sign, it now becomes positive. And we don't have to show that plus sign for positive numbers, so we have 6/2, and that's what's happening here. So what we have is that these, because this would be a -1, these are perpendicular, so there's a right angle here, okay? And so I know, yes, it's a square, but a square is also a rectangle, and a square is also a rhombus, okay? A square is a rectangle, and a square is a rhombus. So all 3 apply. If it's a square, it's a rhombus. If it's a square, it's also a rectangle. But a rectangle is not a square, and a rhombus is not a square either, okay? And so that takes care of those tests like. And then we're going to get into using the coordinate to find, using the graph to find the missing coordinate. So Fast forward, we're going to go to the next set of problems here.